I've read and listened to lots of books in this year, but in this video I'm going to share with you the 5 books that I've read, which I've loved, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why I've loved them and what I think you can learn from them as well. So let's have a look at the books, see what they are, and see what I thought of them and what maybe you'll think to have them when you're shopping this for 2024. So the first book I'm going to share with you is a book called Mega Deal Secrets by Jamal Reiner. Now Jamal was a salesperson at an organization and made his name and made a lot of money on winning very, very large, successful deals. And the reason I like this book is because I love winning deals myself, and I've been looking to grow my business and grow the type and size of deal. And Jamal outlined 3 key things that I thought were interesting from this book. The first was be able to really understand the core customer goal or problem or challenge that they're working to. What's the core driver that's driving that company forward or that business forward? What's the nub of the issue? The second point that he talks about is creating insight. It's no longer good enough as a salesperson for you to ask questions about that person. We have to go in and add value. We have to give insights. We have to make the person, the buyer, think, wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That's helpful. And Jamal talks about how he was able to create insights that made the executives he sold to feel that he was a person that what they wanted to work to. And the third point that he talks about, which I think is a key other element of the book, is making sure that your value proposition is clear, is positioned well, is sound, is effective. There's no point being able to talk about the goal and giving insights if you can't then deliver a solution to the problem. So there you go. My book number 1 for 2023, Mega Deal Secrets by Jamal Reiner. Really great book. Sold software. If you sell software, worth a read. So book number 2 that's actually captured my interest is not a new book, but it's a book that I've absolutely loved reading called The Copywriter's Handbook by Robert Bly. Now you might think, well, why, James, are you looking at copywriting books? And this book's been around for a number of years, but the key thing that I've loved about it is understanding more about the way in which people buy and do things. And what Robert Bly outlines is how there are certain titles and phrases and words that we can use that can absolutely convince and change what people see with regard to landing pages, information, emails, direct messages, whatever. And I felt it was my job as a sales mentor and leader to really understand more about what makes people tick, what gets people to want to buy things, what have some of the best advertising gurus and copywriters in the world started to use to get the results they have. And I've absolutely enjoyed it. It's a thick book, and I have to be honest with you, I'm not completely the way through it, but some of the insights I've gained from it have just been breathtaking. They've enabled me to change titles and change things that have had a huge impact for my clients and customers. So yeah, book number 2 for me was The Copywriter's Handbook by Robert Bly. Well worth a read, well worth a look, really interesting, and a reference guide that you can use time and time again for future projects that you have. So book number 3 is a book, and I had the honor on my podcast series to interview this lady, and I was absolutely thrilled she has. And by the way, she's got a new book coming out next year called The Truth About Pricing, which I can't wait to read. But it's this book, What Your Customer Wants and Can't Tell You, by a lady called Melina Palmer. The reason I love this book so much is that it's all around the concept of something called behavioral economics, and why do we as consumers make decisions? And it was maybe linked to what I learned with the book with Robert Bly, but understanding even more dynamics around how we frame certain situations, how we can use certain words at certain times, about how certain people will do things at different points, even though we think they shouldn't do it, but they do because the brain works in an incredible way. It's one of these books that I've put notes in and tried to look back to and reference on a regular occasion, and I continually get it out of the book cupboard to try and find passages of information that I can use. But it's a book I really encourage everyone to read. If you can get inside the mind of your buyer and what goes on inside people's minds, and by the way, as it says, they can't tell you it because they don't know, but it's how they operate. It's going to just transform so much of what you do as a business owner. So Michael F. Shine says the most important business book to come out in years. I have to agree with him. Melina Palmer's What Your Customers Wants and Can't Tell You is a brilliant book. I learned about it and read about it in 2023. I've listened to it, read it, recommend you do the same. So my 4th book that I've read this year is a book called Coaching Salespeople into Sales Champions by a guy called Keith Rosen. Now, this really for me is a quite specific book about trying to improve the skills that I've got to become a better mentor and better coach. And what Rosen talks about is so many things on how we can be better leaders in the way in which we can engage and motivate the salespeople that we work with. Talks about absolutely how we can coach people in a more effective way. And I've been trying to apply some of the techniques and lessons learned in this book with the clients and customers that I work with. And there are so many things that you can do, so many practical ideas ideas, and I've just loved some of the insights and the tactics that I can approach here that can enable me to work with teams to get better results. So coaching salespeople into sales champions, Keith Rosen, definitely, but maybe much more for me as a sales mentor and trainer. But it's a book that I found valuable, and certainly one if you've got a sales team and are looking to lead that onto bigger things next year, definitely a book worth reading. The fifth book that I've read this year that I'm going to share with you is a book by a guy, and anyone will know me, I'm absolutely a massive David Goggins fan, and David Goggins released another book this year called Never Finished, which I read and I also listened to, and I absolutely loved again. Followed on from his book Can't Hurt Me, which was to me one of the most important books in helping me change my mindset about what I was going to achieve. And the whole concept around Never Finished is that we're always on that pathway, we're always on that journey to progress and to push ourselves and to do things, and to continually want to have that desire to change, to never give in and to never have that spirit to commit to achieve things is critical. And I've been on that journey and continue to go on that journey, but it just, as it says, it's never finished. That job is never done. But what it's also helping me do is really build my mental strength even more, learn techniques that I can use to make sure I'm doing the things I want to. And it's just given me that additional momentum and drive I needed to say, no, never give up, never, continue to focus, continue to achieve things, continue to build that mental strength to be successful. And it's a book I wholeheartedly recommend. If you haven't read Can't Hurt Me, then do. If you haven't read Never Finished, then do. Brilliant books, brilliant guy, inspirational in what he does. Can't suggest any more than that. So the sixth book, and I did say 5 originally, but I really wanted to bring this book out because I'm using it a lot in the conversations that I'm having, alongside actually another book called Surrounded by Idiots. It's a book that I read 2 years ago, and I'm back and read again and again because so many of the insights are incredibly powerful, by a guy called Chris Voss, called Never Split the Difference. All around negotiating as if your life depended on it. I'm doing training programs now where I talk about how important this book is and what it's done. Chris Voss was an FBI negotiator who offers a different way to get what you want from a negotiation situation. So many insights from a sales perspective that I learned from this, and every time I read it again, it's the second time I've read it, I pick up something new. It's a book that actually comes away on holiday with me when I'd like to highlight things, and it's again a bonus book really, but I encourage, if you haven't read, and it's been in previous videos I've done, if you haven't read it, go for it. It's definitely worthwhile looking at. So some other books that are really good contenders and I've enjoyed listening to and reading this year, for example, Jonah Berger, Magic Words, is a really interesting book around the words that make a difference in the way we operate as humans. There's a great book by Tim Ferriss called The 4 Hour Body, which I was intrigued to listen to, how he talks about being able to lose weight over the course of a 4-hour period of time and not even have to exercise, so an interesting one there. Another book that I thought was really interesting was Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, a different way to consider how to approach different situations. Another great book that I thought was worthwhile listening to again, which I did again, was Traction by Gino Wickman, which is a book that talks around how to build the systems and structures that you want to get results in place. And a final book that I've really enjoyed again listening to, which I'd listened to a few years ago, was called Black Box Thinking by Matthew Syed. And this is all about how mistakes and failure can actually teach us many good things, and the best way for us to learn is to get looking at failures and things that we can do to improve, and how some case examples, some very touching case examples, can really make us see that without that desire to improve and grow, we're never going to change. So those are a few of the other books that I've loved listening to. But by the way, who should I be listening to? What books inspired you in 2023? Which of the books that I've got on this in front of me now should be on my desk in 2024 as we move into the new year? The key thing is, books are critical for us to learn and to gain nuggets of information that can help us grow and be better as humans, be better as sales professionals. So I encourage you to start looking, and if you don't read enough books or listen to books, make it part of your activities. Put time aside to do it, whether you're in the car or on the train. Give books time, give them a time to listen or to read them, build your knowledge, develop your skills, and achieve the results you want. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope it's been helpful for you. If you have, please like and share it. Share other people with the books that they can maybe use to get success as well. And thanks for really being a subscriber to the channel. I certainly appreciate it. My mission and goal is to help you achieve everything that you want from a business and sales success perspective. And I'll do everything I can during the next 12 to 18 months to give you resources and materials to help you become really successful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.